The story begins in 1944, where the Germans were willing to stop at nothing to win World War II. Using black magic, they had created a portal to hell, allowing them to summon dark forces to aid them in the war. However, news of this had already reached American soldiers. The Americans were determined to destroy their invention by any means necessary. To prevent the Germans from using dark forces to destroy them, they had brought with them a paranormal expert named Professor Broom. The Germans were secretly planning to execute this invention in the ruins of Scotland, but they were unaware that the Americans had already arrived there intent on destroying their entire plane. Hitler's most important people were present at the scene. An immediate attack could have been fatal. Therefore, all the Americans were waiting for an opportunity. Soon, the Germans activated the dark force machine they had created. The machine opened a portal to outer space, from where dark forces can see a way to enter Earth. Now, the Americans had no time left. They had to destroy the Germans' machine as quickly as possible. The Americans launched an attack and finally destroyed the machine with a Granchanta grenade. The machine's creator was also trapped inside. The Americans thought they had completely foiled the Germans' plan, but that wasn't the case. Professor Broom suspected that the dangerous portal had remained open for too long, which simply meant that dark magical powers had entered the world. Broom asked the American soldiers to search the surrounding area. Broom told the Americans that the creator of the machine was the same person who, many years ago, because magical powers were common, was considered a witch and was cut into pieces and buried. But today, in front of them, that person was alive once again. Broom was still struggling to understand this when a soldier saw something moving behind him and immediately opened fire on it. The thing looked like a monkey, completely red. Its single hand was larger than its entire body. The Americans were about to kill it, but Broom stopped them. Broom had some chocolates in his pocket, and he tried to feed it. The strange monkey liked it very much, and trustingly, it came into Professor Broom's lap. Whatever it was beyond their understanding, but now it had become like family to the soldiers. They began to treat the strange thing like their own son, and together, they named it Hellboy. This is where a story began that threatened the very existence of the Earth. Now we return to the present day, where we find some unknown people 50 miles from Moscow searching for something in the icy ruins. These three men, two of whom upon reaching the spot murdered the third. These were the two who many years earlier were working with the Germans to open the gates of hell. The blood of that dead man revives the man who was dismembered years ago. The story then returns to Professor Broom, who didn't have much time left to live. He had developed several ailments requiring a long stay in the hospital. Instead of receiving treatment, Professor Broom decides to return home and tells everyone that he wants to devote his remaining time to his son. Meanwhile, rumors of a dangerous monster being seen in the city were spreading, but senior officials dismissed these as mere rumors. But we then meet John Myers, an FBI agent. Professor Broom has summoned him to an unknown location a short distance from the city. The place looked like a research laboratory, but it was actually a waste management institute. Myers rings the bell to enter. A voice comes from inside, telling Myers to look forward. After scanning his eyes, the gate is open for him. Inside, Myers meets a man who expresses his displeasure at his being 5 minutes late. Suddenly, the ground beneath where Myers was standing begins to sink, and Myers sees underground floors. He is stopped on the 51st floor. Myers enters through a large door in front of him, where he sees a library-like space. Then Myers hears a voice from the library's aquarium, urging him to turn the pages of a book on a table. Suddenly, Myers encounters a strange-looking creature that can speak like a human. Myers is confused. Just then, Professor Broom appears from behind. Professor Broom explains to Myers that it is not and uses its knowledge to help people in times of need. Its name is Abraham Sapien, and it was found alive in a hospital basement. He loved eating rotten eggs. He had another special ability. He could gather information about anything just by looking at it. Professor Broom led Myers to a room, handed him some chocolates, and asked him to enter. Myers entered and saw a dangerous demon, completely red. This was the Hellboy Professor Broom had discovered years ago with the soldiers. He was affectionately called Red. Red considered Professor Broom his father. In fact, in 1944, when the Germans opened the portal to hell, not only Red but many other creatures from other worlds came with him, one of whom was Abraham Sapien. Red and Sapien lived peacefully with Professor Broom. However, some other monsters often tried to wreak havoc in the city. These monsters were controlled by the same three people who had supported Hitler many years ago. Red and Sapien's task was to destroy the monsters by summoning them to Earth, in which Sapien would understand things and make a plan, while Red would fight and kill them. Similarly, today they all reached a museum where the monsters had attacked. Sapien heard some strange noises from behind a door. When Sapien tried to investigate more closely, he discovered that a very dangerous creature was hiding behind the door. Red went into that room alone to deal with the creature. Sapien was giving Red all the information about the creature through the microphone, but Red paid little attention to his words. It didn't take Red long to kill it. But then Sapien told him that the creature could revive itself. Killing it with just one bullet wouldn't be that easy. Just then, Red looked back and saw the creature's corpse disappear. And then the creature began to attack Red fiercely. Red appeared to be weakened in front of it. Tonight there was a fair in the middle of the city where the monster wanted to wreak havoc. Red had to go among the people to stop it. Seeing all this, panic grips the crowd. Everyone runs for their lives. Red headshot the monster with a special bullet, which helped him track it down. The monster hid in the subway tunnel. Red, searching for it, reaches there, but just then, a train arrives. The monster escapes through the train, but Red fails to board it. The people on the train mistake Red for a monster and beat him with a cylinder, knocking him off the train. After the train departs, the monster attacks Red once again. This time, Red touches a nearby electrical wire, causing a powerful electric shock and burning the monster to death. This is where we learn that Red doesn't burn with fire, but other monsters do. Meanwhile, the three unsuspecting individuals had begun preparing for destruction. 7 days later, a lunar eclipse was about to occur. That day, they needed Red at any cost. Red possessed powers that could wreak havoc across the world. Even Red himself was unaware of these powers. Now, we see that it was Halon Week. People were roaming around in costumes, so Red had no trouble mingling with people. Red went to meet a girl named Lise. Although Liz looked human, she was also a monster. Liz had grown up with Red and Sapien since childhood. However, recently, Liz had left Professor Broom's laboratory and was living alone. Red loved Lisa desperately. Professor Broom's men were now worried because the public had seen Red outside several times. Everyone started questioning him. Sapien tried to examine the museum's objects to see what had happened there. Sapien told Professor Broom that the three unknown people had come there with a purpose. They cut open a statue and removed a container filled with sand. The museum guards tried to stop them, but even the bullets had no effect on them. They slaughtered the guards like ants. Then the three of them poured all the sand from the container onto the ground and gave birth to a monster named Samael. Samael was the monster. It possessed a very dangerous power. Whenever it was killed, it would return with two bodies. It was extremely difficult to destroy it. Upon learning all this, Professor Broom became extremely worried. Sapien noticed that Broom was very ill, but Broom refused to tell Red about it. Professor Broom now understood that these three unknown people had come to destroy the world and would not give up so easily. Meanwhile, Red was begging Liz to come with them, but Liz did not want to stay with them. Liz wanted to live a normal life, like a normal human being. Liz possessed a dangerous power that allowed her to create fire. Red wanted Liz to stay with them, but Liz didn't want that. Liz was happy living alone. They were talking when Professor Broom arrived with his men to take Red away. As Liz left, she told Red that it would be better if he never came to see her again. Red was deeply saddened by this, and he began to weaken. Everyone brought Red back from the scene. Sapien was healing Red's wounds when he discovered that the monster had laid eggs in Red's body during the fight. Red was shocked to hear this, as the monster had only been in contact with him for a few seconds. Professor Broom decided to return to the scene the next day to search for the monster's eggs. If more monsters like these hatched, they would wreak havoc on the entire city. Myris tries to find out about Liz online. He learns that Liz often has outbursts of anger. Her anger has often led to serious accidents. Tonight, as usual, Liz was sleeping in her room when a man arrived. This man was one of three strangers. He used his powers to show Liz the worst memories of her life. Seeing this, Liz lost control of her anger and began to burst into flames. The fire was so powerful that it spread throughout the building in seconds, reducing everything to ashes. Professor Broom was distraught by all this. He worried about what would happen to Red after his departure. He held out some hope that Meyer would handle everything. Meyer had gone to visit Liz for the time being. Liz was sitting alone in a room, feeling sad after the incident. Red and Sapien had arrived at the subway tunnel to destroy all the eggs laid by the monster. Sapien uses his senses to detect that the monster has laid eggs inside the septic tank. Sapien can breathe underwater, so he must go inside to break the eggs. But before going in, Red gives him an object to tie to his hands. This object was small in appearance, but the monsters were afraid of it. Sapien begins collecting the eggs so he can take it outside and break it. Then he realizes that the monsters are nearby. Red is standing outside. He sees one of the three men in front of him and starts chasing him. Meanwhile, Sapien finds the eggs in the water with the object. Red gave him slips from his hands. The monsters begin to attack him. Sapien somehow manages to escape, but two of his companions are killed by them. Red pursues the man and reaches a strange room where the monsters attack Red as well. The two fight and fall into an underground metro station. People there see Red again. They were terrified by the sight of these two strange monsters fighting each other. After hours of destruction, Red finally kills the monster and rescues the people safely. But Red was completely unaware that the monsters would return, this time doubling in number. Meanwhile, the eggs in the Sapien tank were also hatching. Sapien emerges from the Sapien tank pursued by a monster. Meanwhile, a key member of Broom's secret department, Clay, is also killed by one of the three unknown men. The man kills Clay and lies beside him. Red arrives searching for Clay, but fails to save his life. We then see Liz Myers persuade her to return to Broom once again. Red returns with news of the deaths of her three companions. A man in the department blames Red for everything and calls him careless. This enrages Red, who picks up a large object and throws it at the man. Just then, Liz arrives and witnesses the whole ordeal. Because of these things, Liz had left the place 13 times, but she always had to return for one reason or another. We then see Professor Broom possess the body of one of the three strangers who had murdered Clay and lay beside him. But the body was devoid of life. It was completely mutilated and had undergone thousands of operations. They also found a torn piece of paper with the name of a place written on it. We then see Liz briefly go out to have coffee with Myers. This deeply offends Red, and he breaks through the wall of his room and follows them inside. Red doesn't like the idea of Liz Myers sitting and drinking coffee, and Red sits on a rooftop and starts watching them. Professor Broom is now sitting alone in his library trying to figure out the secret behind the torn paper. Suddenly, the corpse awakens, puts on its clothes, and starts coming down. Broom isn't frightened by the sight, but realizes that its death is near. Broom looks back and realizes that the corpse isn't alone. With it, its master, who had been controlling it like a puppet, is also with it. The man comes to Broom and shows him a future in which the entire world is grappling with devastation. Hellboy was the cause of it all. The man tells Broom his name is Rasputin, and with that, Broom's life ends forever. Red was sitting on a rooftop watching Liz and Myers when people from his department arrived, tension evident on their faces. When everyone returned home, they learned that Broom had been killed. Red was deeply saddened by Broom's death, as he had considered him his father since childhood. They were at a loss to understand who killed Broom and why. They all had a common clue of the last man Broom had been researching in his final moments. After Broom's funeral, they decided to go to the place mentioned on the paper, where Red would accompany them. This time, they all decided that if they couldn't solve the case, they would close the secret department forever. Meanwhile, Rasputin purchased an ancient stone from the Russian military. To them, it was just a stone, but to Rasputin, it was a very special object. Now, they all set out for that place. This place was Moscow, the very place where the Germans had opened the portal to hell many years ago. After a few days of listening, they all reached that place. Many German soldiers were buried at this site. They were at a loss. Then Red, using his magic, resurrected a corpse and, using it on his back, began to seek help. The corpse led them all into a secret doom which contained miles of tunnels. Once inside the tunnels, a wall suddenly emerged from the ground, separating them. They could only communicate with each other using microphones. Each decided to proceed on its own path. Hellboy and two of his companions were trapped on a bridge. Suddenly, the bridge began to collapse. Hellboy managed to save himself and one of his companions, but he had no idea where he was. A little further on, he spotted a room containing one of the three men. Red, with great difficulty, managed to kill him.
Buy Cummerbunds at up to 35% off on your first order. Download Misho now.
Meanwhile, Liz and Myers continued onward, reaching a cave infested with numerous monsters. Liz immediately calls for Red. Red is right above them and breaks through the ground. Red begins to fight all the monsters alone, but appears weak in front of them. Then Liz asks Myers to kill him. Myers' death enrages Liz. Liz then burns every monster and their eggs present there with her eyes. Everyone falls unconscious. When Red and Myers wake up, they find themselves tied up. No matter how hard Red tries, he can't free himself from the chains. Meanwhile, Liz lies in one place, as if she's been knocked unconscious. Now they tell Red that everything that happened to them was all part of their plan. They all wanted to bring Hellboy there today. They also tell him that Hellboy holds the key to the gates of hell. They both tell Hellboy that if he doesn't open the gates of hell, they will kill Liz's son. It was the day of the lunar eclipse, and the moon was already turning red. Red was forced to comply for Liz's sake. They demanded that Red say his true name. Upon saying his true name, Red's chains broke. His sign emerged, doubling his size. They then asked Red to place his hand in the stone. As Red did so, a massive portal opened, releasing several large monsters. Meanwhile, Myers managed to free his handcuffs, and by beating one of the women, prevented Red from unlocking hell. Myers reminded Red of his father. Hearing this, Red changed his mind and broke his sign. Earth was saved from becoming hell. by killing them both red awakened Liss. Our movie ends here. But if you ask, we'll definitely bring you a sequel.